Now let us see working with data transform with one basic example. So now if we are running this flow rule, we know we'll be getting screen number 1, and after that screen number 2, and after that screen number 3. So in screen number 3, if the customer is selecting something like S here, then we are collecting his some kind of account details. Is customer having bank account? If it is equal to S, we are collecting few details from the user. And then if this is also equal to S, we are collecting his guarantor details. And if guarantor is also having an account, we are showing some kind of message. Instead of this message, our requirement is to show one drop down. So you are eligible for all loans. All loans meaning, in my case, I might be eligible for 4 set of loans, and in your case, you might be eligible for 10 more. So based on the eligibility criteria, it has to be showing with some values in the drop down. So our requirement is to show one drop down, and that drop down should show maybe educational loan, car loan in my case, and in your case it might be showing something like home loan and extra things also. So based on some criteria, these drop down values are to be populated. So we know how to work with the drop down. So I'll be showing one drop down value, maybe something like eligible loans as one property. I have to create one drop down property, right? So I'll be creating one property, and this drop down should be showing with some values dynamically. So dynamically meaning I should not be using something like as defined on property for the drop down. I have to use some other sources. What is data page we know, and clipboard page we have seen, and report definition. So these three are the things what we use whenever we are trying to get the data from the table. That's what we have seen. But
Sir, sorry to
now,
interrupt. Sir, can you please? Hello.
what is it?
Sir, sorry to interrupt, sir. Sir, can you please repeat the last the 5 minutes? To-
So we are discussing something about data transform. That is like in this particular screen, at the last, we wanted to show one drop down. So anyway, this design is already there. So at the last, I wanted to show one drop down. So drop down should be showing all the list of values as per the customer eligibility. So if customer is of so and so criteria, we'll talk about criteria in some time. If customer is of so and so criteria, I have to show maybe 4 type of loans for him. And maybe if he's coming under some other criteria, we are supposed to show some other values. So for that, we'll be creating one data transform property, or sorry, we'll be creating one drop down property. And there I have to populate my list of values. So for this drop down, we know we'll be having 3 sources. And can I use a data page here? So data page, if I use, again there will be one source for that. So I have to use again activity or any other source, so that I can use, or I can directly use one activity. So if I'm using activity, then to get multiple records, what you are supposed to do? Obj browse. So am I having all the list of details to be shown from the table? If that is the case, obj browse or report definition. Now let us try to achieve the same thing using data transform. So will we be having data transform as the source for the drop down? If I just open drop down, so I'll be having only 3 sources, but I wanted to use data transform as the source. We'll be having, so if I'm selecting clipboard page as the option there, I'll be finding 2 checkboxes. If you observe, run activity and run data transform. So let us try to achieve this using data transform. Okay, fine. So our requirement here is, or our eligibility criteria is, based on the income, we have to populate these values. So if customer is of 10 to 21 years, he should not get car loan or home loan options. He should be getting only educational loan, right? And if customer is between 20 to 30 and if he's minimum employed, then education plus car loan. And if he's more than 30 years of age and if he's having more than 10 lakhs income, he'll be getting all the things. So based on this criteria, we have to populate these values. So in the screen number one, my requirement here is to include one radio button to check whether customer is employed or not. So let us include one radio button. Is customer employed? So yes and no. If we selecting yes, okay, if the user is selecting yes here, we have to show one more text box like income, enter your income. So here he will be entering his own income, maybe 10,000 or 10 lakhs accordingly. And if he is clicking on submit button in the next screen, we will be collecting his parent details. So here let us collect one more value for parent income also. After age, I wanted to include father income as well as mother income. Not mandatory, but they might not be employed also. So let us include these two options. Now if we click on submit button in the next screen, there should be something like total income to be calculated. So total income is equal to customer income plus fathers plus mothers. So total income I have to calculate, and based on the total income I have to get this drop down values populated. So if total income is greater than 1 lakh, considering all these three incomes, if total is greater than 1 lakh, he should be getting only educational loan, something. So if total is greater than 1 lakh and less than 5 lakhs, so he is eligible for only educational loan. And if total income is greater than 50 lakhs and less than 5 lakhs and less than 10 lakhs, he is eligible for educational as well as home plus car. And similarly, if his income is greater than 10 lakhs, he should be getting 5 such options. So different values. So this is our requirement. Fine. So if customer income is 20 lakhs, let us consider, meaning he has to come under this criteria. He has to get all these 5 or 10 options accordingly. So meaning my drop down should show these 10 values, right? 10 values meaning drop down is showing 10 values. So meaning page list. So I'm trying to show multiple values. So source should be from clipboard only, right? So by the time we are loading this section, okay, my drop down will show all these 10 values. So what this drop down has to do? Drop down has to run some source rule from its end. It might be data transform or activity or anything, or data page, anything. So it will be running one source rule from its end, and it has to construct one page list. If we are using activity, we constructed one page list using obj browse, or I might be using data transform or any other thing. Finally, this drop down has to execute so and so rule, and that rule has to build one page list, right? I have to use one page list. So page list will be having maybe these 10 results or 5 results based on my criteria. So once the page list is ready, that page list right away I can define as the source. That is enough. So constructing page list here is some challenge. So if I am using obj browse, or if I am using report definition, even there also page list only, but there PRPC will be using PX results as the OOTB. But here I am not getting data any of my table. I'm not creating any table so far. So I wanted to set these values somewhere dynamically. but not from the table. So meaning there is no interaction with the table. There might not be PX results concept, right? PRPC, when it is trying to fetch the multiple records from the table, it uses PX results. But in this case, it will not use PX results because I'm not interacting with any of the tables. So how to deal with this scenario? I have to create new page list. Okay, so I will be creating new page list. So if I create one new page list, maybe something like eligible loans as the page list name. So this particular drop down has to run that source rule, okay, maybe data transform or anything, and finally in the clipboard it has to be constructing with that page list. So my clipboard should have one page list by this time. If it is having 10 results or 20 results, those things will be showing in my drop down. Understanding, right? So those things are to be showing in my drop down. Now in my drop down I might be getting 20 values. If I select educational loan as the option, that educational loan should be selected as per my customer value. So how are we having that page list? That's not a matter. Finally, what I'm selecting in this drop down will be the customer value. Okay, so here I'll be getting all the list of countries. But if I select India and if I click on submit, customer country name is India. Similarly, customer selected loan equal to educational. So that is. So finally, to fulfill this requirement, we are supposed to create multiple properties and a data transform. So let us try to understand what are all the rules to be created first. So in the screen number 1, I have to include one property like is customer employed. So for that we can create one radio button property, right? And this property doesn't looks like reusable. I'll be creating it in my work class right away. Is customer employed. So this as radio button, and we can straight away create it in our work class. Yes or no as the options for that. And below this, maybe in the screen number 1, I'll be including that radio button. If that equal to yes or true, I'll be showing one text box to capture income. And same property, I'm trying to use it in screen number 2 also. So anyway, screen number 1 and 2, these details are based on from some data class. So in the data class, there are some set of properties, right? I can add this income property also there. So let us create one income property in our data class. So anyway, we'll be having access on this data class by creating 3 or 4 pages. We already got the access. Now if I create one new property there, I can use it in all the 3 places. Fine. So we'll be collecting these values by the end of screen number 2. Now if we click on submit button, we'll be getting screen number 3, and here we will be selecting all the respective values, and finally if we select is, I have to show one drop down. So meaning I have to create one drop down property, right? And this drop down will be by default showing with 10 or 20 values. And if I select educational loan, that has to be considered as per my selection. Okay, so let me create one drop down property like selected loan. Okay, so in the drop down I'll be seeing some values, but if I select car loan, that will be the selected one, no? So selected loan as my drop down property, and this doesn't look reusable, so straight away create it in our work class. Fine. And after this drop down should be having list of the things showing up. So I have to use one page list. So create one page list. So that page list should be showing 4 or 5 values accordingly. So eligible loans as the page list, some page list. So we did not see how to create a page list so far. Now we'll understand how to create one page list. So I'll be creating one page list, and this page list will be having maybe 4 results in our clipboard. So first page should be having some group of properties. Second page also should have some group of properties. Similarly, third, fourth. Now, if I define this page list as the source for my drop down, so I have to give one property for the display value. So I have to give one property for the display value. What is that property? Maybe I can able to create one new property like loan type. Okay, so px results of 1. In this case, let us consider about the old page list. Px results of 1 will be having country code, country name. Px results of 2 will be having country code and country name. So if I'm defining this page list as the source for my drop down, I have to give one property name for display. So I have given country name for display, country ID for property reference. So meaning page list should be having group of pages, and each and every page should be having some property, at least one property, and that property I'll be using it for my displaying purpose. So maybe page list eligible loans is my page list, and here maybe first page px rules of 1 there, right? But here it will not be like px rules of 1, so it has to show in this way. So whatever the page list I'm creating, so that will be showing like eligible loans page list dash, like bracket 1, eligible loans PL bracket 2. In this way it will be showing. So first page should be having some results related to car loan, and second page list should be having some result related to home loan accordingly. So this should be holded somewhere in this first page, right, with some property, no? So let me create one new property for this page list. Within page list I have to include with one new property. So I'll be creating one new property like loan type. Okay, I'll be creating one new property like loan type. Now if customer income is maybe 10,000 only, in that case he has to get only educational loan. Okay, so by the time we are loading this screen, total income will be 10,000, and this drop down should be running one data transform. So data transform is what will do it here. So if I run one data transform what it has to do? It has to construct one page list. It has to construct one page list. So how to deal with page list? We have seen multiple actions in our data transform, right? So there will be having something like append. Okay, if I wanted to set one individual property, go for set. If I wanted to set properties in a page, okay, so use update page. If I wanted to deal something with the page list, go for append or appended map to. So I have to use this particular action, and I have to set these property values. Okay, so once we are done with this, we will be getting all the related things showing up here. So everyone clear with the requirement? So online people, any doubt with this requirement? At least we'll see how to design this. Everyone clear, right?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, so we'll understand how to implement all these things. So we know how to create all the properties and other stuff, and working with data transform is what something new for us. We'll understand this. So this is very simple requirement only, but some kind of lengthy process. That's it, nothing more than that. So let us try to understand how to create all the things. I'll be giving recording of this class. So straight away I'm creating all the rules without documenting. Fine. So let me create all the properties one after another. So I'm creating one new property for is customer employed. Let me create this. So is customer employed. So let us give it like a radio button with yes and no. Fine. So we have created first property. Next, we are supposed to calculate something like income, right? So this particular property is reusable. So let us create this property in our data class. We are anyway maintaining one data class here. So let me create new property in this data class. So if that is the case, we can get all the things fetched into these three places. Anyway, 3 pages are created. So right click and I'm creating it like income. And this particular property is to hold number, right? If you are giving it like a text, how come it will be accept or doing mathematical operation? So I wanted to create one new property like total income after this, and total income should be customer income plus father plus mother. Suppose if I'm defining this as text by default, and if I'm entering 1000 each, then total income will be equal to 100,100,100. So adding meaning string concatenation happens. So strings will be jointed, that's it. But if that property is defined like a number or integer, addition will be happening. So let me change this to integer or decimal according. Decimal meaning it accepts points also. I'm saving it. So I have created one property like income in my data class. After that, let me create one new property like total income in my work class. I don't want to raise it anywhere. So I'm creating one new property in my work class. Okay. Actions create. So total income. Okay. So this also should be a number. So change that to decimal and save. So we have created all the required properties, meaning this is done, total income is also done. So let us create one drop down property for selected row. So this drop down will be showing multiple values. Whatever the value I select, that has to be considered somewhere in my pure page. So this will be the property. Selected loan will be like car loan in my case, or home loan in your case. Okay. Fine. Let us create one new property like selected loan. I'm creating it in my work class itself. So selected loan. So selected loan should be like drop down, right? So PX drop down. So let me save it. Fine. So one drop down property is also created. And this drop down should be having one clipboard page or some kind of page list as the source. And that page list will be having group of pages according to the thing I'm constructing. In my case, page list will be having 20 results, 20 pages. In your case, maybe 25. So page list I have to design and I have to construct it from my data transform tool, from my source tool, not only data transform, any of the source tool. And first page should be having one property like loan type. So let me create one new property like loan type now, and let us create one new page list property after that. So I'm creating one new property like loan type. I'm creating it in my work class itself. So loan type. So loan type is something which holds some value. Let us leave it like text input only, doesn't affect anywhere. Okay, fine. And now we are supposed to create one new page list. So creating a property or a page or page list is same process. So let us create one new page list, and that page list should be holding this particular property. No? So that page list should hold this particular property. So this property we have created in so and so class. So page list also I might be creating it somewhere, but that has to be referenced with a respective class. So in this case, I can straight away create one page list in the work class itself, and I should be giving one class name referenced. That also I can give the same thing, not an issue. So I'm trying to create one new page list. Okay, so eligible loans page list is the thing what I'm giving. Okay, so let me know if anyone is facing any confusion. So this particular page list is what I'm creating, and I wanted to use it like in page list here. Okay, and this particular page list should hold some properties, right? So loan type is the property what it has to hold. Where is that property? In so and so class, that is our work class. So just give that class name, that is enough. Okay, simply save it. So we have created all the related properties. So this one, everything that is completed. Now let us try to modify section number 1 to include these two values. And post that, let us modify the same in screen number 2 to include income for parents. Then after we'll calculate total, and there we'll construct one page list, all these things. So let us do all the UI part for now. So let me open section number 1. Okay, so in the section number 1, so we wanted to include one radio button first. So let me include one radio button. Is customer employed, right? So let us include somewhere at the last. Okay, and this value should be holded with one. Oh, sorry. Based on this, there should be something like visibility applicable. So I'm trying to take one new text box for capturing his income. So just open this, change the to customer details page dot income. Okay, now if we observe, this particular control is taken like text input, and this property we are using it like income. I have to accept only numbers, so you can simply change that to something like integer or decimal accordingly, or you can use this option. So did I say about this option later? I think I told you. So if I click on this, revert to property default, meaning, so this property is defined with some type, and this control is with something else. So if I click on revert to property default, then this control got inherited based on the property. So this control got changed based on the property. My property is defined with decimal, and this control also will be accepting decimal in that case. So in this case, I can see something like straight away decimal control available. But in the previous version, we did not have these many controls automated. So there we will be selecting the respective property, and we'll be clicking on revert to property default. So for now, this is not required. Let me click on decimal or number, and let me apply visibility for this as well. So what is the visibility? If the above thing is true or else, is customer employed equal to S, then only this needs to be visible. Clear? then only this needs to be visible. Okay, fine. So we have done with section number 1, modifications. So let us open section number 2. Section, right? Okay. So in section number 2, let us include 2 text controls accordingly. I'm taking one decimal control and I'm taking one more thing even for here. So this has to be included with for the details. For the details page dot income. Mother details page dot income. Okay, so we are done with these 2 sections. Okay, and next we have to make modifications in the screen number 3 also. In screen number 3, we have to include one drop down, and that has to be defined with page list as the source. And finally, that list has to be constructed using data transfer. So let me open section number 3. Okay, so in this section, at the last, we are showing something like this message. So let me take one drop down. We have already created one thing. So let me take one drop down. Okay, fine. So we have taken one drop down, and drop down, there should be some visibility also. So selected loan should be the property name, and this should not be like as defined on property. So this has to be defined with some other source. What should be the source? Page list. So I'll be selecting something like page list as the option. So page list meaning, so this drop down should be running some source. We have only these 3 options. This drop down should be running a source. So that source rule has to be executed, and that has to be maintained on the clipboard, and that has to be used here. Meaning clipboard page only know the source here. So let me select clipboard page as the source, and in clipboard page, in clipboard I'll be having this page list somewhere constructed. So straight away use that page list. Eligible loans page list is what I have created. I'll be using it straight away here, and this particular page list, so this particular page list has to be constructed using either activity or data transform. In this case, I don't want to go with the activity. I don't want to set any values in activity. If my requirement is to get the values from my table, data transform cannot directly interact with table. We know that there is no such action. So we have to go with activities only. But now in my case, I wanted to set these values manually. Okay, if income is between 1 lakh to 5 lakhs, I have to show 4 results, meaning I'm setting it manually. If income is between greater than 10 lakhs, I wanted to show 10 other extra values. So as a developer, I'm setting these values based on my business analyst mockup. So there is nothing dealing with my table, database table. No need of going for obj browse, no need of activity. So let us construct this using data transform. So if I select this one, it will be asking us to enter the data transform name. So we have to create one data transform right first. So for now, I am selecting loan type as the property. Okay, loan type as the property. And here I am trying to create one new data transform. So for now, just to save this, I'm unchecking and I'm submitting it just to save this. So we have to create one new data transform, and the data transform has to construct all the page list results, and those are to be used in my drop down. So let us start our actual requirement, that is creating a data transform and setting out all these things. So data transform can be created under data model category. We have already seen. So I'm creating one new data transform, and let me define it like eligible loans data transform, just for our easy understanding. Okay, and let me define with some class name. Okay, fine. So finally, I'm creating one new data transform. So in data transform, what I have to do? So we have to set these page list values, right? So this is my page list dot eligible loans PL is my page list. So that page list should be holded with 10 pages in your case, 20 pages in my case accordingly. Meaning I should not use something like set as the value. Set is to set individual property. Now I have to use something like pages related action, that is like append and map according. And this particular page list construction should be happening based on some conditions. What is that? If income is between so and so. So let us use one when condition before setting out any values. So what is that when condition? If total income is greater than. So did we construct total income anywhere? Did we calculate anywhere? So let us calculate total income first. So set total income is equal to customer details page dot income plus father details page dot income and mother's detail. Simply give plus and click the property reference. But here you will not get anything populated. So you can able to copy and paste. So father details page dot income, just cut and simply paste it here. Okay, so here it will be populating, we know that, but if it is given with something like place, it will be confused in this case, but during runtime it will be populating the values. And mother details page dot income, cut and paste it, plus and paste it. So now as part of step number 1, total income will be calculated. It might be 1 lakh or 10 lakhs, calculating all these things. After this, we are supposed to build the logic. So if total income is greater than accordingly. So let us use some when condition. I'm clicking on plus to add new step. And here I have to first check whether customer is employed or not. If customer is employed, meaning I'm having one more check here. When customer employed, meaning is customer employed equal to is, that is the first thing I wanted to check. So as I told you, when condition meaning we should be, it is not like we have to call only when condition. I can define any of the condition, meaning condition expression also. Okay, so when condition can be defined with directly one when rule, or it can be separately defined with expression as well. We have seen this even when we are working with visibility. So there I have selected condition expression and I gave one when rule. So we have given one condition expression and gave combination of when rules and individual properties, right? So I can straight away include with one property, and if we click on dot, it will not generally populate. So dot is customer employed equal to yes. I'm just cutting it and pasting it here. So is customer employed equal to yes, then only all the remaining things has to be checked. That is my case requirement. So when customer employed equal to yes, what is the next thing I wanted to check? So we will be checking it like one more when condition. I'm using one more when. Step number 2, first when condition is there, and after this I'm trying to add one more when condition, that is like is total income greater than. Okay, so if we click on dot, it will not populate straight away. Dot total income, if it is greater than 1 lakh, okay, or maybe okay, if it is greater than 1 lakh and meaning this only, right? And if total income less than or equal to, let us give it like 1 lakh, and let us give it like 5 lakhs. Isn't it? 1 lakh and 5 lakhs, correct, right? So if total income is greater than 1 lakh and less than or equal to 5 lakhs, so this is my condition. I'm just simply cutting and pasting it here. So when total income is greater than this and less than this, what is the thing I wanted to do? I have to show for him only educational. He is less income candidate, so he will be eligible only for educational. So where should I set this property? In one page list. So I wanted to show only educational loan for him, meaning the drop down should show only one result, right? One result meaning one time only you can just append. So I just wanted to append and set one property within that. So let me go for append and map to. If I use append, only that page list will be defined, but I wanted to set one property within that. Append and map to is what I have to use. So I wanted to construct this page list, append and map to into so and so page list, and within this page list we can see one more child added. There I'll be setting loan type value as educational loan. Okay, loan type as educational loan. So everyone clear so far? So this data transform, what is it doing? Initially it is setting out the total income. After that, just to set this particular value, it is checking for conditions. So first one condition is this. After that, if customer income or total income is within this range, he has to get only one thing. Okay, if customer income is greater than 5 lakhs, he has to get 4 results. In that case, we'll be adding one more when condition accordingly. We'll do. For now, let me save it till here. I'm saving it. So this data transform, from where it has to be called? It has to be called from our drop down only, right? So this particular drop down should be pulling out some results from the clipboard. This is the page list, and we wanted to construct this page list by running one DT. I'm selecting this data transform and call the data transform name here. So we are selecting this as the property to be showing up. So this particular drop down, what it will be doing? So this will be first running this data transform. So by the end of this data transform, I'll be having this page list showing up in my clipboard, and this got only one result. I'm using append and map to for only one time, meaning only one page it will be there. So that page will be having only this property. Okay, so let me submit and save it. So let us run the case and check so far. So is customer employed? Yes. So I'm giving total income as maybe 50,000. Okay, fine. Between 1 lakh to 5 lakh. So father income as again 50,000 and mother also 50,000. So total is greater than 1 lakh. So let me click on submit and check. So if I click on submit button, I can see this result. What is happening? This section is initially loading. This section has to load this control, this one and this one. Actually this should not be visible on page load. Again visibility has to be applied. When this has to be visible, only if we select S, and if we select again S, and if we select S. So what is the visibility applicable for this paragraph rule? Same we can apply it here, but we'll be facing one defect. What is that? If I click here, what are we understanding? Why are we getting educational loan for 4 times?
Loading again and again.
Correct. So whenever this section is getting loaded, we are using something like refresh section. So this particular drop down is refreshed for 4 times in this case. If I use data page, this will be stopped, right? So this particular data transform, what is it doing? It is trying to load it for multiple times. So each and every time it is trying to append. So this particular page list has got 4 results now. If I open clipboard, 4 results will be there. Then how to stop this kind of additional execution? Whenever I run this data transform, so it is trying to add one new page into my page list. So suppose if I'm having my page list with only one result today, now if I refresh, it is trying to append to the existing one, meaning 2. And if I refresh 3rd time, so whenever this data transform is running, it is simply adding the result. Instead, I can able to run this data transform. Whenever I run this data transform, I can remove existing page from the clipboard. So whenever I run this, there is already one reference page list that is keep on adding. So if I run the data transform for the first time, if I remove this page from my clipboard, it will be fresh and it will be added with one result. If I refresh this screen again data transform will be executed, existing page list will be removed and it will be added with only one result. So for that, let me include something like page list remove initially. So I am adding one new sibling above, and I am using like page remove, and I am using like page list. So I'll be removing this page list for now. So whenever this data transform is running, first and foremost existing page list will be removed, and here only one page list to be constructed. After that, I'll be using one more based on some other condition. I'll be adding 5 more results. So let us check once. So total income I'm giving 50,000. So I'm saying educational. So section has to be refreshed for 1 time, 2 more times, 3 more times. So what is happening? Only educational loan. So all the time we are trying to remove this particular section, this page list from the clipboard, and post that we are trying to construct from the fresh again. So in this particular case, it is working perfect. Now if customer income is 6 lakhs, it will not come under this bracket, no. So if customer income is greater than 6 lakhs or greater than 5 lakhs, this 3.1 condition will be failed and it will not be setting with any of the property. You can check in the output screen, you will be getting only blank drop down. So what I have to do, I have to construct I have to construct 2 more pages accordingly. So let us do that also. So I have to add one step parallel to. So customer income, I'm giving it like 2 lakhs. So 5 lakhs to 10 lakhs actually. So this also 2 lakhs, and this also 20. No, 2 lakhs only, right? So what is the thing I'm saying? I'm not saying we are using clipboard page plus report definition as the source. Now your requirement or your assignments, please make a note. So your assignments here is like, don't run this data transform blindly. So run this data transform from a data page. So everyone create one new data page. This is assignment number 1. Create one new data page, and we know how to create a new data page, and that data page should be executed with this data transform. Don't simply execute this data transform for multiple times. So you have to get the same output. That is assignment number 1. And assignment number 2 is like, don't use data transform at all. Use activity. So activity has to pull out these many results. For that, create one table. So don't do any kind of property setting from activity. Create one database table. We know how to create a table. So create one data type or table, and that table should be having some columns. So loan type as one column. Under loan type, I'll be having car loan, educational loan, home loan, business loan accordingly. That is column number 1. And you have to create one more column like minimum income, and you have to create one more property like maximum income. So this particular table will be having these 3 properties. So loan type, minimum income, and maximum income. So loan type, if it is like educational loan, minimum should be 10,000 and maximum should be 1 lakh. And car loan, minimum should be 1 lakh and maximum should be 5 lakhs. So in this way we have to create one range. Now based on the customer values, the screen number 1 will be having these values pulled up, right? Based on the customer values, we are supposed to pull out the respective results from my table. In my case, I have to get only educational loan if it is like between 10,000 to 1 lakh. So what you are supposed to do, you have to use one activity, not data. Don't use data transform now. Use one activity, and in activity use obj browse, and in obj browse apply conditions. You have to apply conditions. If total income, anyway you have to build the total income. If total income is less than this one, greater than this one, pull out all the results. In this case, only home loan or car loan will be the single result, or in my case maybe 2 other options I might be getting. So finally from the table I am trying to get one details using page list or with activity, and straight away we can define this page list onto my drop down. So create one table and design this one. So here I am trying